Okay, I would like to call to order the Carver Conservation Commission for Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021. The agenda is as follows. Our first order of business is a discussion with Sarah Hewins. It's a discussion of properties to go under custody of the Conservation Commission. Ms. Hewins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Ms. Monroe, members. My name is Sarah Hewins, 52 Forest Street. I've written up a number of articles that the Select Board has not seen either, but I thought since I was hoping to transfer the care and custody from the Select Board to the Conservation Commission, I'm hoping that that's what they and you and town meeting would like to do. I thought you should have a chance to look at them first. So I passed out copies for all of you. These are not numbered. I just lettered them for our staff to number them as they see fit. The first one is, and I'm not going to read the entire part of it, but this is to see if because you don't need to hear all the map and lot numbers, I'm sure. This is to see if the town will vote to accept a donation of 6 parcels of the Great South Meadow. Yeah, okay, I have a typo. It's the Great South Meadow Cedar Swampland from Roger W. Shores, said parcels located on Assessor's Map MIS, that stands for miscellaneous. And I have on my screen here, which I know you can't see, I apologize, for those at home who aren't sure where the Great South Meadow Cedar Swamp is. I have a little Google map here, which names it wrong. They call it the South Meadow Great Cedar Swamp. That is almost directly across the street from the Savory Avenue Historic District, as well as the Savory Avenue Conservation Land. So the parcels that Mr. Shores would like to donate, I think they total about 26 acres. The town, the Great South Meadow Cedar Swamp itself is about 600 acres, and the town now owns about 200 acres of that. So while 24 acres doesn't seem like very much, anything helps because this is a great watershed protection area for our drinking water and for wildlife and also for habitat protection. So I'm going to, so this land is to be transferred from the care and custody of the Select Board, that needs to be added to. This is why this is a draft, to said parcels to be conveyed to the care and custody of the Carver Conservation Commission. And this last stretch I would like to read because it will apply to all of these parcels that I'm going to talk about later. These parcels are to be retained in perpetuity in their natural, scenic, and open condition for wildlife conservation, watershed protection, native habitat protection, management for biodiversity protection, associated public outdoor recreation, and other conservation uses consistent with the spirit and intent of and subject to the protections of Article 97 of the amendments to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and to prevent any use of the premises that will significantly impair or interfere with the conservation values thereof, and to allow public access for the enjoyment of the wildlife, open space, and water resources of the premises as specifically provided for herein, or take any other action relative thereto.
Can you excuse me 1 second, Sarah? I just want to, Dan, can you hear all of that?
Yes, I can hear fine, thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to verify. Thank you. Sorry.
That's all right. The next list of parcels I'm going to go through in a little bit more detail because they're all over the map, literally. And I'm going to minimize this one and see if I can zoom in on this one. So the second one I'm calling Article D. These are all bunched together because they all are in the Select Board care and custody. And actually the one I was reading about Roger Shores, that is in his care and custody. So try to keep these straight. These parcels listed in Article D are all currently in the Select Board's care and custody. Some of them, that's just the way they've been for a very long time. Others should never have remained in select board custody because, for example, a couple of them were actually donated to the Conservation Commission by someone, and for some reason it just never got changed, who was in charge of them. So the first one is map 62, lot 46, lot 37, and lot 27. These are all shown as 0 Crystal Lake Drive. They're in the Crystal Lake neighborhood in Center Carver, or West Carver. And these are also known as first, second, and third beaches in this neighborhood. Now, I'm going to try to get this up on the screen for people at home to see. Presumably, most of you know where first, second, and third beaches are. Here's the screen. Okay, let's make it bigger. Okay. So, the Conservation Commission currently owns 3 parcels as you go down Crystal Lake Drive, all the way to the end before it makes a bends left. There are 3 parcels there, 2 of which were donated to conservation, and 1 of which the Conservation Commission in the past purchased. And one of them abuts a lot that currently is owned by the Carver Crystal Lake Neighborhood Association, I believe it's called. That will be a separate article because they currently have ownership of that. The third parcel is one of the 3 beaches. So what I'm talking about here is conveying care and custody of first, second, and third beach. Although they are not contiguous to each other, they all abut Vaughn's Pond. And what I'm presuming is either first or third beach directly abuts the conservation land there at the end of Crystal Lake Drive, which is called Beaver Dam Brook Conservation Land. So the idea here that would be that you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 contiguous pieces of land right on Vaughn's Pond and also on Beaver Dam Brook. And the reason to protect the other 2 pieces is, I don't know if you recall, in 2019, there were some parcels on the warrant, the annual town meeting warrant, to sell some parcels. None of the parcels were really described, and one of them came to my attention because a friend of mine lives in the Bates Pond area. Turns out one of those parcels was the Bates Pond beach. So I decided to look up all the other parcels, and lo and behold, it was these 3, first, second, and third beach in the Crystal Lake neighborhood. And my goal here is just to ensure that that never happens again, that these beaches are protected for those residents as well as for the rest of the town. So those, that's the first part of this article. The second part indicates map 85, lot 10. This is called 20 Bates Pond Road. It's a 15,000 and change square feet parcel, also known as the beaches at Bates Pond. I don't directly have a picture of that for the TV audience, I apologize. But if you're familiar with the neighborhood, you'll know where that is. And the very next one under that is map 85, lot 1. And this is the Bates Pond neighborhood playground parcel, which some of the neighbors down there, when I spoke with them, said, well, if you're going to protect our beach, you might as well include the playground area. Okay, let's see if we can go to Wareham Street. The next lot is on Wareham Street. And for the audience at home, this is half of Clear Pond on Wareham Street and some upland area around it, which was donated to conservation by the gentleman who developed Copper Lantern Lane. And for some reason, that never got transferred to conservation.
So is that just a recording error, or is that just, if it's already been transferred, we don't have to vote on it, we just have to...
No, it was donated to conservation, but in the assessor's card, it shows it as being in the care and custody of the select board. And so to change that care and custody, you have to do that at town meeting.
But it would be an error, it would be a...
Somebody's error, but I'm not going to point, could well have been mine. So, let's see.
I just thought it was an easy fix, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, no, I understand, appreciate that. Okay, so for the camera, whoops, wrong one. Okay, the next one, map 29, lot 1WE and lot 1EE are what's otherwise known as the coal property conservation land. Originally, for some reason, only one half of it is in the care and custody of conservation. And actually, because these both sides of the property were purchased with state funds with state grant funds for conservation, passive recreation, and drinking water supply protection purposes, that makes them Article 97 land, which means that they can only be taken out of protection by a legislative act, first of the town and then of the state. So I mean, it could happen, but it's the best possible protection, short of, well, this land also has a conservation restriction on it, so that will never go away. The next parcel is on Woodhaven Street. Let's see. No. Nope, not that one either. Okay. Not doing too well with these maps, friends. Okay, here it is. So this parcel on Woodhaven Street is map 59, lot A0E. This is a little over 12 acres, and it's known on the assessor's property card as recreation area. It was also, it's also in conservation, but for some reason, once again, it says that it's in care of custody of the select board. This is a lot that is accessible only, it's about, as I said, a little over 12 acres. It's behind some houses on Woodhaven. It's accessible between two lots. There's a right-of-way for the power lines. And last but not least, believe it or not, we actually have some land on Savory Avenue that is not in conservation. So, for those of you at home, and you guys as well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parcels on Savory Avenue that is now the Savory Avenue conservation land. Of those parcels, 2 of them are still in the care and custody of the select board, one being 8.7 acres and the other being 6 acres. They're described as wet, so I mean, anyway. So I think that's just rectifying something that slipped through the cracks. I don't think for any of these there's any bad intention. It's just that's what happened. So hopefully, my main concern is for the neighborhood of Crystal Lake and also of Bates Pond. I really want them to get this whole protection part so that no one will ever be able to take that away from them again. I just want to read that one last bit again to you. With the spirit, intent of, and subject to the protections of Article 97 of the amendments to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and to prevent any use of the premises that will significantly impair or interfere with the conservation values thereof, and to allow public access for the enjoyment of the wildlife, open space, and water resources of the premises in perpetuity.
Sarah, I do have one question, and
Yes.
it's on the Crystal Lake properties.
Mhm.
I seem to recall when this was first made its appearance a couple of years ago, that the people at Crystal Lake were saying that they had in their deeds that they could use those 3 beaches.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Is there
that's
any
not-
restriction that it's only for them?
No. I mean, you can have it in your deed that says you can use the beaches, but these are public beaches. I mean, they're town-owned, so anyone could use them. I don't know that anyone does, but this proposal to put these in the care and custody of conservation doesn't take away any of their rights at all.
Okay.
If that's the concern.
I just wondered if it was actually, if it hindered other residents' rights.
No,
Okay.
no.
All right.
Mr.
I-
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I guess, I'm all for this, by the way, so. Who maintains the beaches now?
I don't know.
So my question would become, is if conservation does take over, 1, 2, 3, 4, and, that is 5. So actually, all of them except the one on the map 29. Could we then give maintenance to recreation and let recreation, because these are beaches and playgrounds, and
I don't know the answer to that, Alan. I mean, it's possible because they're town-owned beaches. It's possible that our DPW does. It's possible that the neighborhood does because they're their beaches and they would take pride in
neighborhood
them.
may stop doing it if, suddenly people come in that don't live in the neighborhood. So I guess that was
Yeah.
just my only because well, I guess I want to know who's maintaining them now, I guess is the big question.
It's a good question.
I'm all for this, but if we could have it be deeded to conservation to protect it, that's a great idea. But then maybe let recreation expand. And
Well, one of the things that the Carver Trail and Conservation Steward Committee is working on is trying to, first of all, make sure that there's access to this conservation land for the public, and second, to engage them so that we have a good group of volunteers that actually do some of that maintenance.
Cool.
So, I mean, that's, I know Sabri and Jim are on that committee too, so that's one of our big goals. Maintenance is always going to be a problem, but these have been town-owned beaches forever. So, I mean, I don't imagine, the influx from Boston or something.
No, I don't either, but I think that if it's deeded to the select board, then if they want to do something with the beach area, for bringing in some additional sand and make the beach area nicer, they have less of a challenge than if they have to
No.
come before conservation.
No, you're part of the town. If, in other words, to answer your question, I don't know the full answer of who maintains it, but if in fact the DPW does that sort of thing, they're probably going to keep doing it. It doesn't matter. The only thing that makes this being in your care and custody is that it won't be able to be sold out from under the residents at town meeting
Okay.
ever again.
No problem with that at all. I
Yeah.
think it's a great idea.
Right. And also, a lot of the ones further down on this list are just cleaning up paperwork that wasn't.
Correct.
They're ours anyway.
Right, it's ours anyway,
Yeah.
I get it.
Okay, thank you.
No, there's
Next.
an Article E too, right?
Oh, yes.
That was the rest of the Crystal Lake one.
That one is that very tiny lot between what's currently conservation land and one of those beaches, whether it's first or third beach, I don't know. But it's a very small lot, and I've talked to at least one resident down there who, no one is really sure, like, who is the Crystal Lake Association? I think it was something that was started a long time ago. Now, whether they've started something up again, I'm going to try to get together with some of these neighbors to, find that out, and hopefully they'll approve of this and see it as a good thing, because that's the only intention here. Yeah.
I guess the only other question I've got, Sarah, is on the land that's coming out of the swamp from Roger Shores.
It's not coming out of the swamp, it's going
Well,
to stay there.
No, it's going to stay there, but I assume that there are taxes being paid on this property now? They can't be very much if it's in the swamp, right?
Nothing, really,
There's, yeah, those parcels don't really contribute a whole lot to our tax base.
I didn't think so.
They're little tiny slivers. There's a bunch
Yeah,
of-
the pizza pie.
Oh, is that what they are?
I mean, we're
pizza
talking
pie.
600 acres, and if you look at a map of it, it looks like a big confused
Yeah.
pie.
And half the people that own them never even knew they owned them till
you
Dan
can't do
Fortier
anything with
did
them.
that research and contacted them.
Right.
Never even knew they owned them.
So Mr. Shores himself was a forester, So I'm sure he harvested some of the cedar down there at one point, I'm assuming. And I'm sure other people did in the past, but he wants to make a donation, which is really nice.
All right,
Excellent, thank you.
very good.
Perfect.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you very much.
All right, next up on our agenda is the culvert alteration at the Cranebrook Restaurant on Tremont Street.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah.
You're welcome, thank you.
Take your time.
All right, thanks. Hi,
Hey there. Hi, Maria.
Hi, how are you?
how are you?
Good.
So, we asked you here tonight to talk about the dam over the culvert that has been constructed, the permanent dam that is restricting water flow, keeping water to a certain level in Lower Sampson's Pond, which is adjacent to your restaurant, which is completely illegal to do that. There are paths to do that if you would like to, and I do have the address and phone number of the Office of Dam Safety, who would give you a permit to construct a dam after you've done a water flow study and a neighborhood study and an abutter study and anything downstream and upstream. If you'd like that, I can give that to you. But until that time, the dam that is there now is there illegally. It goes against all the Massachusetts regulations. So we need to have some kind of decision tonight by this board on what needs to happen next. And I am of the opinion, and I'm only one person on this board, but I'm of the opinion that this new permanent dam needs to be removed, and removed as quickly as possible. So,
I guess I'd like to ask why it got there in the first place.
Okay.
can you pull the microphone a little bit closer to you, please? Thank
No
you.
worries. So essentially, I mean, I know it was a very dry season, but essentially the pond was completely down to zero water.
I don't think anybody can hear it. And I'm certain.
Can you hear me?
No problem.
Can you can pull that down?
Yeah, we've got,
Okay.
yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That way we
Freedom.
can hear you.
This is awful.
It is.
So the pond was bare to zero water, and I have like some photos of it, like.
Everybody's
essentially.
pond was that way.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, to the point it was like swampland with odor, awful. So with that being said, we had actually looked at, what we could possibly do in terms of like, do we have any rights to the water flowage of that water, for which we were able to actually get a deed indicating, and this was on or about like August, indicating that there is, there is a deed that we actually own that states that, we have the ability to manage the water flowage, from that pond. Say that again? The flow of the water.
You're telling me your deed gives you control over the flow of the water? Is that what
Yes.
you're trying to get?
Right.
You have that deed with you?
I did not bring it, but I do have it on file, and I can bring it to you at a later time.
All right, there are growers. There are 7 growers, cranberry growers, who receive their water from Sampson's Pond. And they have in their deeds also that they are to get water from that pond as needed. What you're doing is restricting that water flow. In some cases, people aren't getting enough. In other cases, people are getting too much. It is also a river. You cannot, maybe you have a right in a deed, but you can't just go ahead and do it without getting permission from not only us, but the people in Boylston, West Boylston, in the dam safety department.
Right. And I think what I would love to do is to be able to know who are those individuals, so we can actually get together and, come up with some sort of resolution that would be ideal for all.
I'd like to see this continued till we get a copy of the deed.
I mean, I
You
actually,
can see exactly what that says. Maybe have counsel look at it, because it could be very easily misinterpreted. I can't imagine a deed giving you total control of
No.
a small pondy area off a massive pond, so you can do what you want with it when it's part of a river flow.
It's part of a river. I
going out
don't,
the other way.
I
So that confuses me.
It might also help to get some of the growers
Yeah.
I think we should have copies of all the deeds relating to this, the growers' deeds, the
Right.
deeds for the restaurant.
Yeah.
so, I mean,
I don't think nobody has a deed except that building. That deed comes with that building. Because soon as they dig out that pond, they gave that building to the first owner. They gave it that deed to go with that building to control the flow, just because of a big flood in the building. So, nobody has a deed except that building.
so, but
We
it,
don't want to control, take the board and load the board.
so according to the deed that we obtained, and again, this was after a lot of research and very concerned to how we would operate our business, because, it's,
Show the pictures you have over there.
Yeah,
I
well-
never see nothing like that.
yeah, it was like, the concern is, it would smell like sewage. Like, if I was to open up the restaurant, I would be concerned with the smell of the sewage. So, to make matters worse, when the water was down to zero, practically, I actually found 2 individuals basically removing the boards to what would be unacceptable levels,
Digging through the pond, so the less water goes through the river.
like underneath, going under, and I actually said, listen, with due respect, you're not supposed to be digging, this conversation goes about October 24th, subsequent to us getting the deed. So essentially I said, you can't just go in and dig beyond the boards, because now you're actually going into what would be the dirt, and, getting the water that it was coming already like under.
So who
And
was doing that?
so,
The picture is over there.
Yeah.
My wife told them, what are you guys doing? You know what they did? They grabbed their hand, his nuts, and showed to my wife. That's the respect they have from the neighbor.
Who was this?
It's
so
over there.
I have, yeah, so essentially I said, with due respect, I'm going to, I'm going to take a picture so I can have it for my own evidence.
Grab those and pass them over. would
Yeah,
you?
so I'll just go, so essentially, well, there's 2 individuals here. So what happened was, the lady across the street, and honestly, like, we're new to Carver, but the lady across the street, right across, from the,
Downstream of you?
so, so there's our 229
The house right in
Tremont,
front of the dam.
right on the other side of the
One person
street.
talking, please.
Say that again?
The gentleman in the back will have to stop talking while you're talking so that we can hear clearly.
Well,
Oh.
that's her husband. You can come up and join.
Yeah, I think it's better off because it'll be like, you know. So the lady across the street, I mean, as I'm talking to the individuals, she comes like fast speed, kind of not even like obeying my like 6 feet distance, and basically said, she gave him permission to remove the boards. She needs the water for her cranberry bog ending of season. And I basically told her that, like, listen, I got no water in here to give. As it is, it's a swamp. It smells awful. Like, what are you digging? For which, like, she begged me and she says, listen, I only have 1 week left of my season. Let me drain as much as I can because I don't want the crops, and I'll put the boards back on again.
So the guys that were moving the boards were trying to flood a bog?
Pretty much.
During harvest season.
Oh, so yeah.
October?
Okay?
Yeah, they're going now at this point, for which I said, listen, I don't want you to run, to ruin your crops over me, but at the same time, how much time do you need for your crops? And, she says a week. I said, by all means, like, use it for a week, but this cannot go on because you're literally, like, draining a pond to the point it's like sewage.
That's what the pond is there for.
That's what it's there for, it's correct.
That whole entire Sampson's Pond and that little backyard pond off your back deck is there for the sole purpose of flooding the bogs in the event that the cranberry growers don't have enough water. That's why that pond was created. That's not a natural pond. That was created.
But there is this water flowage right, so
But they have water flowage rights also, so this is where we need to get into this.
Right.
Find out exactly what's going on here, because this
But-
is,
may I just continue? So essentially, John Mason, I believe it's his name, reached out, and he said, listen, I don't know if you're aware, Maria, right now you put some boards up and, there are individuals that have access to that water. I said, listen, we're not trying to like hurt anybody. We're trying to come up with a happy medium that, I also have like a business to run and I cannot run on a sewage, which, we met with him. We come up with the agreement. He actually texts us and says, everybody is happy. And the lady that actually has been taking the water down to nothing because she has no rights to actually utilize that water. She's one of the individuals that has no access to be, and she's been doing this for years.
From what I understand, there's one bog owner, and I don't know if it's that woman. There's one bog owner south of your restaurant that has water rights. The other 6 have water rights from the pond itself, and they surround the pond. It's the,
Yeah, that's the other side there.
Yes.
The other side. I talked to that man already.
okay, but I believe that there's
Yeah,
one
he
person
said-
downstream.
Yeah, their resolution, he drilled wells in case the pond is not enough water. He says he use almost all the time is the water from the well.
All right.
And he mentioned that lady has no access to that water. She's been doing this for years, and really has created this animosity between like 229 and, everybody else. And she is really the problem why that pond is getting dry because she
All right.
realized
Well,
that.
I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a vote to continue this. There is one thing that I want to say, though, before we do this. Once again, you're in front of this because you did something within 65 feet of a wetland without coming to us first. And that is against our bylaws. I would have thought that when you built your shed a year ago, you would have gotten the message from us. If you do anything near the water, come to us first. You didn't do it. That's why we're here again. So I'm going to entertain a motion to continue this.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a
Second.
second? All right, it's been moved and second to continue
Let's
this.
see if Dan, do you want to chime in on any of this?
Yeah, if it's going to be continued, I'll keep my my notes and everything to myself right now till the next hearing.
Okay.
So what do we want to do? Are we going to find out about the deeds?
Well, I'd like to ask that whatever date we continue this to, that we have proper documentation, that we find out what other growers are affected and what their rights truly are, so that we can make a determination based on fact instead of what's always been the case, because for all we know, what's always been the case may not be entirely accurate either.
All right?
Yeah.
And if they in fact do have it in their deed and they have a right to that, then it may be that they don't even have to notify us that this is what they're doing,
Yeah,
because,
that's right. That's why you not need to take a permit, because we have the control the flow.
well, I'm not giving into that theory yet, but I'm saying if that is the case, then that would account for why you didn't come back and ask permission. I'm trying to give you some benefit of the doubt here. I did it the last time with the shed. I'm running out of patience, but I want to see this get resolved and as amicably as possible. But yeah, I know that that water supply is there for the growers to use in the event they need the water. Now, if it's in your deed, then we'll look into that, and if it is in the deed,
Yeah.
I'd like to have council weigh in on how it got put in there,
But we also need to get the water rights.
from the growers.
From the growers.
Absolutely.
And I do, when I talked to John Mason about it, he said what Maria said. There is a woman downstream, for some reason, a bog run, and she takes the water out of there, and she doesn't have the rights.
Well, how does she take the water out?
She,
You see the guys, that's,
And she
they
has-
work.
This
Nobody does
picture
it.
here was her guys?
That's
Yes.
their workers.
Yes.
and nobody does anything. But the growers know that she's doing it, but nobody does anything.
Yeah.
She's
Well,
been
we
doing
can
it
put
for
a
years.
stop to that too.
I'm
And
not,
I talked to John Mason. I said, I'm gonna put everything clean, and I'm gonna, like you, the big pond, he has the board, and he has the pipe, and he has a lock. I told to John, I'm gonna put the same thing, I'm gonna put the locks, I'm gonna give him the keys, for him to have control. He has the keys, I have the keys. Because it's a block, and the thing, that's the level that water for that pond.
Yeah, we understand that.
Soon as it rain too much, we can go and take a couple of boards, or me or him, to not flood nobody else. That's why I
Bottom
left
line is,
with
we
John.
need the answers to what's.
all right, but that requires you to take the dam that you built, the permanent
Oh,
dam,
yeah,
out.
that's out, that's now.
So that,
Okay.
yeah, that's removed. And like I said, we actually, I mean, because when John approached and says, hey, Maria, let me tell you a little bit of the history, we literally come up with a plan that was feasible. And then he followed up and said, I just want to let you know that good luck with that lady, because she's been doing this for years, And, and I just want to let you guys know that everybody's in harmony as far as the, with the water flow. So we thought we had all like living in harmony, We still had to figure out what we're gonna do with this lady.
And the thing is, pisses off, she used the water, she said she's gonna put the boards, and he never did put the boards back.
Like very
That's-
disregarding,
All right, well, I'm less concerned with somebody who is using the water who doesn't have permission, because that we can stop. I'm more concerned about the people who use the water who are under the belief that they have every right to do so. And those people, the control of the water level used to be, it's in John Mason's hands now. It used to be with Clark Griffith, it used to be with the Westons, and it's been handed down.
It'll be easy enough to determine and find out.
And no
Right.
one, I mean, honestly, like, we're not looking to get to, because we don't want the place to be overflow. I mean, we respect that the water flows, and, it's just very concerning when it goes down to like zero, and,
But it's the same for everybody. As you know, I live on that pond. The water was down 2 feet this year. It smelled in my house too. It smelled everybody's house. No one put a boat out there in September or October because the
Not
rocks were
sewage,
so
by the way.
close to the first surface. That's what nature does.
Yeah.
It happens. It's unfortunate, but the growers. I don't know if you went around and drove around Carver at all this fall, but almost every single pond and reservoir that the growers use to flood their bogs were almost down to nothing. There were long aluminum pipes going in just so they could draw the last drops of water. And the drought affected everybody the same way. And I understand that you have a restaurant, and I know it wasn't open this year because of COVID, but I understand that you want it to be pristine and you want it to look nice. But, well, we'll talk about it after we.
Yeah, no,
But-
like I said,
but-
after doing much research, we came across the deed that we were able to, that talked about, the water, the rights to. So that's, I think it definitely, I would love to be able to know what other folks' rights are and, come up with a plan that we can all live in harmony, truly.
All right, Brooke, should we get John Mason in here?
That's, yeah. Let me,
Can we contact John and ask
Yeah.
him to identify the deeds?
yeah, because we had talked about doing that. I think I
Yeah.
could call him. I never did get a hold of him, but that probably would help since you've talked to him.
Well, he had texted, honestly, a week before the meeting. I didn't know if anyone had reached out saying, hey, I just want to say thank you guys, everybody's in harmony. So, all the growers are happy. So we figured,
Do you have his number?
yeah.
Oh, all right.
I do. I met
Have
with
it?
him.
I thought I had taken it, but,
Can we invite him to come to that hearing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meeting?
oh, I think we should,
Require it.
definitely should.
We should require him to come to that hearing.
Yes, and I think he will. But we need to give him time to, times,
Well, it's only February. We can put this off until April.
no, we can't, because March is when with the runoff from the meltage is when the pond gets extremely high. And if that dam is still there in March, and it's restricting the water flow, because only so much can go over that, it's only 6 feet wide.
Yeah.
It could raise the whole level of Sampson's Pond and start flooding people's basements. That is why there were the planks in that dam. So not only to keep it high when it was low, but to keep it low when it could be high.
John Mason, we're going to get, it sounds like he is familiar with what a level is. He was going to basically monitor that.
All right. Is the permanent dam that you built, has that been taken out already? It's out?
Yeah.
Okay.
So how about March 3rd?
March 3rd is fine with me.
It's a month
A
from
month from
today.
today,
It'll
4
be
weeks
our
from today.
second meeting from here.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
and we should get John in and ask him to, or just talk to him and ask him to try to find the
About the deed.
the
right.
deeds on the
Yeah.
water, the water rights that the 7 growers have from Sampson's Pond, and how that bears on the water flow itself.
Yeah.
And then, Brooke, do you want me to, email you the deed that I have?
Yes,
That'd
do.
be
Okay.
great.
Perfect, yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so you could have it in
Yep,
advance?
Yep, and I'll have a copy of it for that night. And then I'll see what I can get from John.
And then try to find out who else has the rights to all of that. Well, John will know.
John will know, yeah, it's
And-
Hanula, it's Davison Partnership, it's Mason.
Why don't we invite this nice lady that has these 2 lovely kids?
Well, I was gonna say, the woman downstream, if she's causing a lot of the problem.
Well, I think we should require her to be here also.
I believe it's a Mrs. Mackey.
Yeah, I think that's the name, John
The
said.
son, he died.
Maybe we
Now
can
we
bring
used to take care of
this
that.
illustrious gentleman in also.
Here.
Because that's a little over the top
I
as
would,
far as the respect goes.
I would think that we should probably get the deed issues decided before we bring anyone else in. I think we should just bring the Cranebrook and the growers in, who or John Mason as a
Right.
as a representative of the other growers.
Yeah.
And talk about exactly what has to happen and who has what rights. And then we can bring in Mrs. Mackey if we need to further down the line.
Okay.
But I think it's a separate thing. I don't see it as being connected.
Well, if she has no rights to it, and they end up with some rights to it, we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone the same night. Otherwise, we put this off and try to get them to come in, 2 weeks, a month later.
I think the question more is the deeded rights and control of the water level,
Okay.
all right? And then we can deal with her taking water at a later date, because if there is in fact one person who, and I've heard the thing about him putting in some wells downstream behind Wareham Street. If he's the only one that's downstream who has the rights to the water from Sampson's Pond, then that will become evident at our meeting on the 3rd of March. And then we can just notify Mrs. Mackey that she can't take the water.
Right,
Good luck.
yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to know that she has no right.
Everybody seems to
Right.
know
Do
that.
it.
But I think the first thing we need to do is determine exactly who has the rights to maintain the water level both in Upper and Lower Sampson's
Yeah,
Pond.
because John told me for 20 years already, they now have a meet. All the growers supposed to have a meet together and to decide who controls the water, who don't.
Well, it was
But
part,
John says the other guy before him used to do it, but used to do a lousy job, so he took over.
well, they sold their bogs. Anyway, the Westons sold their bogs. And before that, it was Clark, but Clark was,
He's the best one to have come in then.
yeah, John is, I
John's a
know.
nice guy.
I know, I know
Oh, yeah,
John.
we met him.
I've known John since he was this big.
Okay.
So it's been moved and seconded to
Continue this.
continue the
let me
hearing
just-
till March 3rd.
Let me just
Email me
repeat
that when you
this.
get a chance.
We're going to continue to March 3rd and request that we have copies of the deed and all parties involved that need to be involved to straighten this out at that meeting also.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
Is it
All those in favor?
aye. Dan?
Aye. Dan says aye.
Okay. We're unanimous, 5-0.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
When are you opening again?
I don't know. Every time we try to, something happens.
Tomorrow.
The vaccine is here.
I'm shocked you haven't given up, to tell you the truth. I'm grateful that you haven't.
No,
It
no,
had to have been a tough year.
yeah, you
We
will.
don't give up that easy.
Talk about
Thank
coming
you.
We
in.
need the vaccine, so I think we're in the right track.
Is
Well,
it okay if I
thank you
keep
very
those pictures?
much. Yes,
Yeah,
of course,
okay.
yes, thank you.
All right, next up, Susan Honeywell. Maintenance of water storage tank, South Meadow Village.
Susan?
Like being at the bank.
What's that?
Like being at the bank.
Like the little pass-through.
That guy's pretty funny, isn't he?
Slide
The,
that right underneath.
I know the guy. Little nit.
Hi, how are
I
you?
have some handouts. Should I?
Sure.
pass them around?
Yeah.
Can give them to Brooke, she can pass them so you don't have to worry about it.
Okay. There's one of each. There's like an existing and a proposed right here.
And you can take that mask down if you want to speak into the microphone, if you are comfortable doing that.
Yep.
Sorry.
So I'm Susan Honeywell from Onsite Engineering, and we're doing a water maintenance project for the South Meadow Village. Essentially, they've been directed by DEP to clean and paint their water storage tank that they have that serves the residents. That's going to require the water to be drained out of the tank and us to put a temporary tank and pumping system in place to meet the demands and the needs of the village for that interim period when the tank is being painted. So we estimate that time period to be about 1 month. And I actually just talked to the fire department earlier today to confirm the amount of volume of water that they need for a fire safety standpoint with that large tank offline. The gentleman that I spoke with said that the fire department is accustomed to not having hydrants in Carver. So they are well equipped to fight a fire without a water storage tank in place. So the plan that you have in front of you shows 3 tanks. Based on my conversation this morning, we only need 1 of those tanks. So it's a 21,000 gallon tank. Its dimensions are about 10 by 50. So it would be the one closest to the water line. and farther away from the wetland. So on the drawing, I have a GIS of the existing conditions, which is probably difficult to see exactly where that approximate wetland delineation is. But then there's the second plan, which is the proposed conditions plan, and that highlight or hatched area in green is where the wetland, limit of the wetland is based on that GIS information. There's also a 100-foot wetlands buffer zone line that's shown like a blue dashed line that shows that this area where we plan to put the temporary structure in place is within that 100-foot buffer zone, which is why I reached out to Brook and why I'm talking to you today.
I assume this tank is one of those rain for rent?
Oh, you got it. Maybe we should have a separate conversation after this.
Come in a trailer, they just, all they are is a big box.
What is it, what are they called?
They're called rain for rent. They're a
Oh,
single
rain-
axle trailer that's
Rain for
48,
rent?
53 feet long, and they hold.
Oh, and it just holds, it's a big
Right,
storage.
They come in empty and they are there for storage. I've seen them used for oil cleanup. I've seen them used for
Yeah.
when they're cleaning out diesel fuel tanks and
Oh,
stuff. They
okay.
put anything in them, but the ones that are for
Yeah.
water, they keep clean for water, and it's not uncommon. I've been on sites where I've seen 10 of those side by side.
Yeah.
With the one take, we really think we can probably situate it on that existing paved area that is just outside of the fence.
Yeah, that little clearing.
Yeah, that's already a kind of established
There's
area.
almost no ground pressure to these, Savory, when they put these in.
Yep.
They go in with a set of tandem axles, you back it in with a truck, and then once you get out from underneath it, it sets back down on the ground and it spreads the entire weight out across the whole
So
base
there's
of
no
the ground.
disturbance of the
There's
ground.
no, there's really no disturbance,
Right.
aside from what, vegetation it covers up.
Right.
But then when you pull it out of there, whatever's there will grow back.
Right. And that's what I thought, because.
So it's not gonna
temp-
sink in, they don't have to put stone in, they don't have to do anything like that, just, it's pretty non-ground impactful.
Right, and it's only temporary, so.
Yeah, and it's,
It's not
how long do you think it'll be there?
A month.
Where is the current tank?
It's not on this plan. This is of the well field itself.
see that.
Which pumps up to the tank. I don't have an overall view of the whole South Meadow Village with me.
Okay.
So this tank's gonna tie into that hydrant.
Yes, and actually, right now, we show that there would have to be a subsurface connection it's labeled as E on the proposed plan. So it would, we
Yeah.
would just put a temporary hose off of the hydrant into the tank, and then we would need another way for the water to get out of the tank and back into the water system. So we did show, that the maintenance staff would cut in a T there for a water connection, but we are gonna meet them on site and see if we might be able to just add another hydrant and just do a hydrant to hydrant connection so that long-term use, they'll have it for maintenance.
Okay.
When are you starting this?
They hope to do it in March, April timeframe, so. We want to get the tank back up and running before high demand in May, or end of May, so.
Oh, I see the tank. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I did not have that overview.
Okay. All right. Yeah, the tank looks like it's over by the rest of the maintenance facility, closer to Tremont Street, Federal Furnace. On the back part of it. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any other questions, concerns? I mean, it's needed.
Yeah.
Do we,
Do you see a need to have the hay bales and silt fence, or do you prefer
If
like silt
I-
sock? Or
I would think that if you're able to, if you're able to angle the single track on that existing paved area,
Right.
then you're not really touching anything, other
There's no
than
disturbance.
making your T connection.
and anything
Yes.
that runs out of it's gonna be
Right.
water anyhow. It's not like they're
Right.
doing anything.
You're not
Right.
doing
They're
any
not digging up the dirt, so,
You're not digging up anything.
you know,
no, it's going to
Right.
be
I don't
drinking
even
water,
do silt
quality
sock.
water.
it's water.
Right.
Yeah, I don't see any need for that.
So, you want a motion, a vote, or is there a,
Well, we don't really have any kind of a,
Yeah, is that
it was
really-
just a
I mean,
discussion.
Yeah.
It's looking for direction.
you want an
Say,
okey-dokey?
Okey dokey.
Yeah, I mean, I'll entertain a motion
You know, no
to,
filing required.
to allow a single,
Right.
a single truck to,
Yeah, how about we do this? How about,
Without a
maybe
filing.
I'd feel better if we did a motion to allow the single, but if you find you need a second one, you need to come back, or you at least get a hold of Brook, and Brook can get with Savory, and if you find out when you get the one in there that, oops, we should have brought in two, can you just let us know?
or if you
Absolutely.
find out that you have to go further than the existing
Yeah.
pad.
Yes,
If you need to go past
Right.
the existing pad, that's
Yes.
when I think you should let Brooke know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you need to and you can squeeze them on there,
Yeah.
I don't think you need to come back.
okay, great, I appreciate that.
All right, so, motion made?
Yeah, I think we'll just do it that
Second.
way. Up to two, provided we don't step off the pad, how's that?
Yes. Yep. All right, it's been moved and seconded by Jim to allow the water trucks to help South Meadow Village for approximately a month's period of time, sometime in March or April of this year. All those in favor say aye.
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 Dan?
Dan says aye.
All right, thank you. It's approved unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Susan.
you.
How easy that was? First okey-dokey of the night.
All right, next up is 17 Wareham Street.
Well, the person that was supposed to come and tell us about it isn't here.
All
Okay,
right.
next time.
So I don't know if that's something, he was supposed to have pictures of, you know, what's been going on and,
Can't be that big a deal if he's not here.
right.
Something may have come up.
All right,
Unless we should go out and look at it. I don't know if we should need to go out there and look at it again. I've been out there a
Well,
few
if he
times.
wants to complain about it, then it would make that determination. Why go on a wild goose chase? It's cold out.
right, right. All right, the next item of business is the septic repair.
Yeah, that's, that's the, house is all dilapidated on Plymouth Street, and it's just the septic repair.
What
So-
house? It's all dilapidated.
The house has fallen in on
The one
itself?
that's fallen in on itself?
Yeah.
Why would they fix the septic?
Wait, no, 160's across the street.
I'm
They
sorry,
came
no.
to, they came to historic
Oh, no,
district.
I'm sorry, this is, with, near the abandoned bog, which is on the other side of the street.
Other side of the street, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so it's only-
It's a house that has been in disrepair for some time,
Right.
but is still whole. Someone purchased it and they are fixing it up.
Right, I'm
Well,
sorry,
As
yeah.
long as it goes along with the
Right.
Board of Health
Yeah.
and the
Yeah,
permitting.
yeah, I have no
We're okay.
no
It's the
problem.
It's an abandoned bog.
The new owner came in front of Historic District Commission and is, very conscientious
Yeah.
in what he wants to do to the house and bring it back to
Yeah.
its former
Oh,
glory.
good, so
So
that's a good thing, yeah.
I think that there's not a problem
Yeah.
with that. All right, that's all on, listed on our discussion and business. Next up
Wait
is.
a minute, hold on one second.
Yes.
Dan, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I just want to see if, because Dan's in that neighborhood, so maybe he had something to add.
No, as long as they're following guidelines for replacing the septic
Yep.
and and it's following building guidelines and health code guidelines, I'm fine.
Yeah,
Sorry.
all right.
That's okay.
I can see Dan kind of like on a skewed angle, so I just want to, if you need to, just shout out, Dan, because the audio is real good.
Okay, we'll do.
It's really the best you've looked in a long time.
You always look good when all the wrinkles are gone.
Keep your day job, brother.
All right, the next thing up is to read the minutes. Before we do that, I read the minutes, and there was something that I said at our last meeting that was incorrect regarding the bylaw changes that we proposed. The piece of paper I handed out was correct. What I said about it was incorrect.
Oh,
Okay, so if you look at at page 2 of the minutes,
Oh, yeah.
it says packet from last year, changes in packet are in red, and I said, the biggest change is expanding the no-touch zone from 65 feet to 100 feet. That's not what the change is. The change is maintaining the 65-foot variance, but changing the language so it matches the language of the 100-foot permission zone. Right now, 100 feet you cannot alter, change, etc. But our variance at 65 feet says you can't have a structure or an impervious surface. So all it does is change the language so that a variance is required within 65 feet if you want to alter, change, etc.
right.
So the language for both the 100-foot permission zone and the 65-foot variance zone will be the same.
right, okay.
We're not asking to
making the 100
change
foot a no,
the
yeah.
variance distance from 65 to 100. So I
Right.
just wanted to make sure that was clear,
Okay.
okay? So, has everyone read the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes for January 20th with Savory's.
Well, that's not a correction to the minutes, because the minutes are correct. That is what I said. The minutes are correct, because that's what I said,
As written.
as written. Yes. I'm just, now it's been
Yeah.
added to these
Oh,
minutes that I corrected what I said on the 20th.
It's too late because he already said it.
I'll second that.
Too
All
late,
right.
he already said it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes for January 20th as written. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Good job, Ash.
I,
Thank you, Dan. The continued hearings are continued once again.
Yeah.
129 Center Street,
Yeah, 129 Center Street's gonna be, he wants to get on March 3rd.
March 3rd,
Yeah, and then the other one is
whenever,
whatever.
Wenham Road. They're going to have another harvest,
Oh, yeah, I
those
know.
berries. All right,
Motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, thank
Good
you all.
night, Dan.
Good night.
Bye, Dan.